Product up.
50 seconds.
We're fine. Okay, we're gonna be in the booth.
You're a natural.
It's because I love show business.
Show business loves you.
Show business. It's a business. They're show business.
Camera 1 up. Camera 2 standing by.
2. Camera 2, stay ready.
Audio up.
Audio.
And count it off.
And 5, 4, 3.
Oh, please speak.
Mr. Mum, Mr. Hush, I can't believe it.
Hello.
Okay. Hold it up.
A wonderful new product we have here. It's called the Starfish Pendant.
He's holding it up.
It's good. It's made out of 2-carat gold, wonderful 2-carat gold, which makes it very charming because it's so very light. It's easy to wear, and kids love it. It looks great at parties. And the Starfish Pendant.
Talk, keep reading, keep reading.
I have something better for you than a necklace.
Oh, no.
This brought back a memory. Something that happened to me when I was a little boy.
Memories are good.
There was a storm, and thousands and thousands of starfish were washed up on the shore.
It was only 4 days ago. You waved him over.
Hold on.
And there was this beautiful little girl who was running down the beach, and she was picking up the starfish. She was frantically throwing them back into the ocean. When I saw her doing this, I said to her, "Why are you doing that? You can only save a few before they die. What difference does it make?" And she looked at me and she said, "To that one, it makes a difference. To that one, it makes a difference," that little girl said. And she was right, and at that very moment, she was making a difference for that starfish, and she was making a difference for herself, too, because she was connected to that starfish. And that's what life is all about, connecting. In fact, that's the only time you're ever alive, really, is when you're connecting.
It's kind of a nice story.
That's sweet. That's sweet. Thank you for tuning in. And remember, let go, give in, and take the journey. Oh, wait. One other thing. I work here with my friend Ricky Heyman.
Where did he get that? Where did he get that picture?
He asked.
Oh, Barry,
What?
you didn't
He just-
give
What?
I didn't.
Ricky doesn't like himself because he doesn't think he's a good person because he can't see all of his good qualities. So, can you come in close and...
Sam, frame off the picture.
Oh, this is...
Sam.
I didn't know he was.
Oh, don't go in close. Don't.
Going close.
No, don't go in close.
Go into his face.
Sam.
Too late. This is Ricky.
Oh, this is everybody's joke?
Yes.
I see. Ha, ha, ha. It's funny day. Hey, Cheesy.
There's 2 things you can do for me from my friend Ricky Heyman. If you run into this man anywhere, if you see him anywhere, one thing is, go up to him and tell him something nice about himself to build up his confidence. Compliment his dress or his hairstyle or something. You look great today, Ricky. Something, that's reassuring to him because he has very, very low self-image.
This is the lowest moment of my life.
And the second thing is you hug him.
No, this is the lowest moment of my life.
If you see this man, give him a hug. He really, really wants to be hugged, and he's not used to it.
No.
He really needs it, so.
No.
I just wanted to tell you, I think you're really tall.
Thank you for the national humiliation.
Wait. Look at this.
John Lilly once put it this way: there are no limits at all to the human mind whatsoever, except those we impose on ourselves because of our beliefs. And those limits are also beliefs to be transcended. And that's a view that suggests that the possibilities of human transformation are virtually infinite. And we have no way of knowing the outer horizon of what it means to be human.
And really, to understand all this, everything, you have to go very, very deep into a study of history, consciousness, neurophysiology, everything. You have to be the supreme eclectic type of leaning, and you really have to be wanting to know who you are and what everything's about.
the thing that you'll find when you go to sacred sites, if you're very humble about it, is that you are on a personal journey, and the sacred site will respond to you in a way that is appropriate only to you. The information is always what you are searching for. And it's the intent you give that energy that defines whether it is used for right action or not. And it is inside these sacred spaces that you will be reminded that you are a god, that you are a bright star.
So what you're trying to do is move through the course without ricocheting off walls or creating karma. You're trying to slide through things smoothly. How do you do that? It's called flowing. There's a technique that you can do that will allow you to touch some part of your inner being that has more knowledge than your conscious state does.
Morning, Cynthia.
Man, boy shorts or a red thong. I'd like to just...
Go ahead. They're waiting. They're waiting.
We're an open book, basically. You've seen all the financials.
Come on already, we're waiting.
Facilities. Are we gonna do this or what?
A merger of this size, you understand. With government oversight, our shareholders are a bit skittish, to put it mildly. And they just want to make sure that everything is perfect. No stone unturned, as they say.
Do it, bitch. Take the bait.
Sign it. Pending lawsuits. Class action. Bankruptcy. Sign it.
Corolla. Maybe a bear claw.
Sign it. Faulty relays. Fire hazard. Pending lawsuits.
And I have to say, I want to thank you for the patience that you have shown throughout this process. And I'm pleased to report that everything has been vetted to our satisfaction.
Wait. Can I talk to you for a minute?
Who are you? Who is he?
It's, nobody. He's the ex-coffee boy.
They're not telling you everything.
What is this, a shakedown? Just sign the deal. It's been 10 months. The champagne's on ice.
Talk.
You missed something.
Not possible.
A lawsuit, class action not filed yet. Faulty relays, some kind of fire hazard. They kept it quiet.
How do you know that?
I'm psychic.
Stupid or crazy?
I'm not crazy. I can't help it. I hear people's thoughts. Like, right now, you're thinking about how your ankle hurts because you tweeted on the treadmill yesterday, and in there, you were thinking about your son and how he may be smoking weed and stealing from your wallet at night. Just ask them. Faulty relays, see what happens.
I'm sorry. I think his mom dropped him on his head too many times.
Kids today. I had a girl one time started crying in a meeting, wouldn't stop. We had to call the boys with the butterfly nets.
You know, I'm curious, though. When were you going to tell me about the faulty relays?
What?
How many fires have there been? Exactly.
That's... I'm
302.
Beside myself with not knowing the topic of conversation. Relays, is that a race?
302. That's impressive for a product that's been on the market only 6 weeks. And with 11 million units in the field, let's say you settle for $50K per person, plus legal fees.
Look, that's... Okay, these fires, they might not even file. And even if they do, they gotta prove we knew those relays were. Which, good luck with that.
Yes, good luck with that. We're done here. Come with me.
You make it a habit of spying on people?
I'm sorry.
I don't see a brand.
My parents are free farmers. Nomads attacked, I got away.
How long have you been out here?
All night.
Matilda.
MK. Thanks. You're pretty good with those things.
I practice a lot. Mother says natural ability is no substitute for hard work.
Never seen one shaped like butterflies before. I gotta get out of here.
MK! Come with me.
Kevin? What is it? I screwed up. Listen, I don't know how much time we have or what they plan to do.
They?
You're in a lot of trouble.
What are you talking about?
Kevin, what the hell is going on? Look, I brought you here to warn you. Warn me about what?
Dude, if this is some kind of joke...
I'm not making this up. They're going to be coming for you. I don't know when. I just know that they are real. Who's coming for me? Is the girl. The girl with the black hair. Did she get to you?
Girl, what girl?
Holden, did someone threaten you?
No, she didn't threaten me. She tried to warn me.
Hey, Holden, track one. Come on, breathe, buddy, breathe.
Hey,
Breathe.
I gotta go. I'm gonna be sick.
Damn it.
Hey, look, it'll be okay. We're gonna figure something out. Don't worry about it. Just...
Help me! No!
I know who you are. More importantly, I know what you can do. Show me.
Please.
Come on, you can do it.
What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about.
And I'd say we have a problem. Here's what's gonna happen. He's gonna pull the trigger. You're gonna stop that bullet from entering your friend's brain. Here we go. Count to 3.
No, please,
1.
no! I'm not who you think I am!
2.
No!
Hey, you epic being. Welcome onto Hodge Infinite Potential Healing Sermon of Truth with you once more. And I thank, appreciate and honor you for finding me and allowing me to be a part of your journey at whatever level it is. I hope this finds you well on the Easter weekend 2025, April, mid-April. So the year is really flying by. So whatever is going on in your world, whatever has led you to this point, I hope you're doing well. And if you're not, I hope whatever I'm offering and over the past, or this one in particular, is an ally to enduring that. All right. So I've had an interesting week, and it's a bit late in the day, and I don't force these videos and stuff like that. I react to the sort of what's coming up and percolating and what I feel will be of value to, like, an investment of your time. I always talk about the peak awareness time and stuff like that. So this week has been quite interesting. And long story short, I'm going to make this recalibration to a new energy reality number 12. And it's a cross between meeting your destiny on the spiritual no man's land, or crossing a threshold sort of thing. It's about the courage to pursue your infinite in this world and stuff like that. It's raining a bit as well, so we'll see. But many things like that. What I want to do is a bit of the reason why I do these recalibration releases are say if I've been a part of progress, or I've worked things out, or it's a bit like good marker points. I just grabbed a towel to cover my images because they've gotten wet and ruined in the past. So what I aim for this particular theme is to offer variables that I know are significant, and I want to impart them to you, a member of the community and stuff, so you have a reference point of things that are going on a bit more in real time, but they're also, from my perspective, significant milestones and level ups and all that sort of stuff, right? And I originally wasn't looking to do this theme. I had a few other ideas this week, and it's quite interesting. I wasn't aiming to do even video at this time, right? So because I knew there was some weather change and rain coming and stuff like that. So I had all these ideas of plans and stuff like that. But the reason for that, like, I was contemplating many things, like had some really big foundational victories, and felt like the real drive to get ahead of everything, or at least get the mechanics worked out and stuff like that, that's been achieved. I offered earlier in the year a video related to Infinite Potential Sovereignty Declaration version 4.2, where it felt like for a long time I've been playing catch up to work out what the F is going on. And then over this last I released version 3 about February last year, and got some really big understandings about this time last year. And particularly the spiritual assembly for multiverse resolution mechanics, right, over the previous ones. And I've always been very methodical. Like, I don't just change things for the sake of it, or what happens and stuff. In my snail-like progress, right, like the hare and the tortoise sort of thing, like a methodical tortoise, and chipping away and getting valid reasons for things. There's a method to that, right? And it's a very high, thorough discernment of stuff, and I want to build upon sort of foundational things to move ahead and stuff. And ideally we get to some level that we don't need to do anymore, but I think that's a bit of a idealist view. I think, like, things are always going to go on, and even after we pass on, and, you know, the scales of time that are massive in our short human existence is what it is, right? So that's why I'm very much about getting as much as what we can out of all that, but getting it solid to build upon, to make the most of this moment, right? Because our peak awareness time is so precious, right? I don't have a lot of the life constraints that a lot of people have, like having family responsibilities with partners and stuff like that, and accommodating all those variables, I've gone through a purification in my life to not have many of them, so I can purely be totally committed to what I do and do the long sessions and stuff like that, and just be here now. All right, so I've got a few clips that I want to offer in this, and I think the reason why this recalibration as well is that it feels like a recent era. Maybe it's 6 or 9 months for many people. I've started catching up with a few people that I've known for many years and stuff like that, and a lot of people have been through pretty horrendous recent eras, right? And what I'm wanting to do in this one is a recalibration, is just to offer a bit of a re-empowerment of you, all right? And the metaphor is back in my multi-dimensional method to the 3D madness. The very second one was about pattern recognition, and in that I talked about Dr. Wesson Price. And he's this amazing guy that went around the world in the 1920s and 30s. He was a dentist, and he didn't find straight teeth in the Western world, but it was like the indigenous had these immaculate, incredible smiles and stuff, like harmony in their face and bone structure and stuff. So he went like an Indiana Jones to go around the world to all these indigenous tribes in that era between World War I, the Depression, and World War II, because a lot was going to be lost, right? And so long story short is he went to all these tribes around the world, and he found that their nutrition, though the menu of that region was unique, the commonality in that was the nutrition. They all seemed to have the same content, but the menu of like people in the, you know, Eskimos, they didn't have fruit, right? So they had to ferment their vegetables. And then he went to like the Polynesians, and their sacred food was like their sacred food was like the shark eggs, right, that they would give to the women before on their marriage to their partner, because they would, you know, be intimate to have children straight away. So they were giving the nutritional content to women to be loaded up as a reservoir of nutrition, so to birth a child, like women lose a third of their nutrition, sort of thing. So if they had the components for that, then the potential for the child was absolute. And then you think about the glands in the head and all that sort of stuff. So the indigenous are very tuned in and all that, all right? So that metaphor is the menu is unique, but the outcome is common, right? The menu of those unique regions was the nutrition was what it was in that region, but their instinct was to get the nutrition into their body. So their menu was, the menu was unique, but the outcome was common, like the common nutrition versus relative to what they were ingesting. It was just feeling it in the body and the benefit of the body, right, relative to what they were consuming. So the metaphor of that pattern, the menu unique, outcome common, is, I feel the consistency, whether you've interacted with me or not, this era, the menu for you has been probably off the charts to test you at a level you never experienced. And you're probably beaten up and smashed and maybe not 100% from it. But the outcome for me is it has been an incredibly rich era. It's probably tested you beyond the limits that you would do instinctively. And the outcome is that you've got a lot of rich data. Maybe you're beaten up, maybe you're smashed, maybe you're still influenced, maybe you think I'm negative and all that sort of stuff. And that's the influences in you potentially that don't like me because they don't like me because I clobber them and stuff, right? It's interesting, we've got a really golden sunset right now. So the light is good, right? But, so this is the marker point for that, because I think a lot of people are going to come out of that era. You think you're nothing, you think you're smashed, you think you're inadequate and you don't have it in you and stuff like that. But I would offer there's going to be a point where you don't know you've gone through something to really go through a lot of experiential data that will be so rich going forward. It will be something that you'll be able to integrate and realize what you were up against was a bit like The Witcher. There's that opening scene of The Witcher where he goes in and takes on that monster, right, of the first episode. You don't know you've been dealing with that, all right? But your instincts and your navigation and your work ethic, particularly say if you've embraced my stuff with the sovereignty declaration and the pure source and all those mechanics, you and us doing that are a major threat to the reality. And a lot that is going on, you may not equate to that, but to me it has a component in what's going on, because a few weeks ago I was doing a lot of healing on myself, and it's been rough for me as well, right? Like I've gone through, I've had this instance of having a next level peak, and then I got clobbered, and it was like, wow, like I knew I broke through an awareness barrier that set off some alarms, and the swarm of shit that was confirmational. So I got that reference of the next level, and then I went back, and then I regained that. So some of the recalibration stuff, I'm going to talk about what's gone on this week and stuff, right? But because I want to offer in those recalibration points some variables that have gone on that maybe you don't know about, because the spiritual no man's land's been pretty rough, right? And so that unique menu for you might have been like testing you to a whole new level, and you think you're nothing and stuff. But I would say right now I want to offer the achievement of making it through to now with all the craziness going on, because ideally, like, you know, say my metaphor of the spiritual path is like to be the integrity, honorable, dignified, doing the best for your fellow man, and being setting the bar for others to appreciate, so that they can witness you and see there is another way and they want to embrace it. But also like the energy level, I've got to do a cool video about the life force in people and stuff like that. So I feel most people are milked to nothing, like they're on fumes, right? 20 or 30% life force. So taking on a new concept that they have to that will change them all the way through. They don't actually have the energy in the life force to actually integrate change. So then when, you know, we're like what we are, we hope we are the example that there's another way for people, but they don't even have the energy in them to change. And so they see from that where we're like very vast and we can see all the components and stuff. And so the idealist view is that we're like the example, but the reality is that people don't have it in them to actually even appreciate what we're doing. And so, you know, most of us, I deal with a lot of healers and very aware and incredible beings that deserve support. Like possibly in past lives, most of you guys have been in temples as like the apex of the temple, and a lot of people helping you and stuff like that. And this life we're in the trenches and don't have support and stuff like that. So it would be nice that it's not about recognition and all that sort of stuff, but it's like once you get on this path, it's very challenging, and we would like to think that there's some sort of space that is safer where you can disarm, where it's actually being important to arm up more. And so when people get low energy, and this is the thing with if you've been harvested and hacked and all this sort of stuff, you might instinctively, your body is like so depleted, it arms up because it's like the energy field is like abrasive, it can't handle anything more, like a real abusive sort of scenario. And so your adrenals might be really triggered and hacked, and you can't disarm, and you don't even know what it's like to relax, and then you get wiped and all this sort of stuff. So I just want to offer a few things like this all combined, that the menu is unique but the outcome is sort of common things. And then if you have the courage to really go into your infinite and really challenge yourself and go into the next level of sort of things, I think over this era you might have felt like there's resistance, and I think like the volume of people that are sort of doing that, say embracing my mechanics, and that aren't that many, so it can be seen that maybe you're a threat to sort of things, and there's been more pushback, and it's harder than what everyone else has got. You know what I mean? It's like everyone else can be Jack the Ripper, but you dip your toe into the little, you know, potential and stuff, and it's like, rawr, rawr, rawr. It feels like that. And in this video, I want to offer some clips that I hope will really empower you and refocus you on that and bring you back, right? And just rearm you with that. And me saying what I've just said, I if it has been your case, then it's nothing to you might feel inadequate about it and stuff like that, and that's cool, right? That's a part of the process of either accepting yourself and taking yourself to another level, engaging a skill set that you probably don't really feel comfortable with doing, but you've got to engage that self-leadership that I offered in the Unknown video a couple releases back and stuff. And it's courageous to really challenge yourself, but a lot of the thing that most people have is this ceiling on themselves. They put a limit on themselves, and I'm a master of that. I've got PhD in putting limits on myself. That's why I'm all about infinite potential, because it's a reminder to me, like, where are your limits and stuff like that. So a lot of really aware people are also bringing in stuff that isn't relevant, and I've had to sort of had some I don't know, like, people have had sessions and I interact a long time with people, and then what I do is I just get these components of people and stuff, and then I work out their mechanics, and it's like, oh, this is what you're doing, we need to change that one and stuff like that. I've had some really cool interactions of late, and you think having awareness where you are, being something other than who you are, and having an expanded awareness is an ally, but I would offer, like, you might be going through a progress of getting to that level, or you probably don't even realize how aware you are now, because it's your nature. You don't accept your talent and stuff. It's a bit passive, and say, like, what I might do is, like, with an individual, is remind them, you know what you're doing that. And when it goes from passive to active, it's like you can see the branches that's all working on and stuff like that. But those of you that are highly aware, one of the cool things I worked out is had to help someone, or had to help with the very vast awareness out there, and install what I called perception purity filters, right, with the awareness and the data that were coming in, because there may be a potential that you're taking too much data and it's irrelevant data. And say, for instance, past life sort of stuff, you don't realize, what I was saying about being the apex or something. A lot of us, we instinctively take on past life variables that aren't relevant now, because a lot of that structure was a part of the apparatus that has been since the Ayani massacre and stuff like that. So it's just really interesting. It's all about pulling it back to now and mastering the moment. Like, I've got that image, and I may not show you a lot of the images in this instance. I've got the images up on my Instagram and stuff, because I don't think I've got too much light, and I just want to be a bit topical, not too in-depth of things and stuff. And so I was brewing to do an Ayani theme, really get back into that, because I started that late 2013, and I got sidetracked for reasons that I would love to say, but it was not positive and stuff. I was very generous and paid for it again. And but going through this era, this 18 months or so, 2 years coming up of all the GSFs and stuff like that, to really get to the mechanics now and really engage them, because I did some engagement in the mechanics this week, right? That was really cool. And they're recalibration points, because it adds to, if you've been pretty consistent with me this year, it got to a apex point of why that was the case, right? And it's just fascinating, right? But so I'm brewing to really get into and do, now that I've come through this journey, I feel solid to be able to really get back into the Ayani stuff, and just, that's such a pivotal thing, like 326 BC or 25,000 years ago. So that was like the last stronghold on the surface, and we've been suffering ever since, and it's such a pivotal thing for people, right? And the persecution that's gone on so many levels, like a lot of us that went through that, we're all being marked on the soul level, and that's why they can track us and all that sort of stuff. And if you don't do the sovereignty declaration, and this stuff is constantly weaponized, there's no respect of free will or laws of the universe, right? If you read the document, then they don't give a shit. They're invaders from another universe, all right? And they're here to dominate us, use us as fuel source, code breeders, to create the Leviathan body tech that the rulers are as a soul occupying, so that they have the codes in them to rule on the earth, which are invalid, right? But until we call them out and claim them in our sovereignty, then the show will go on, so to speak. The show business for ugly people. And I offered that They Live clip a week or so ago and stuff. And then a big thing we did this week, and I worked it out over last weekend, and was like, like I've done a lot of earth pranic healings, and one really big one I did was on Earth's Soul back in early February, 5th or 6th, alright? And that, I had to do like 5 pranics on myself and people around me, and it was like, what the F is going on? I remember just lying in my bed, I could just feel the hacks going into meridians and acupuncture points. I was just like, fuck. Like, what the F is this, right? But then, like with me, and this is a really big thing, thoroughness is the ally. Like, to me, one of the most impressive things I seek in people is their level of thoroughness, right? All the bells and whistles and all that don't really impress me, because a lot of people out there that I've dealt with have agendas to be seen and be loud on that front, to be like seen as impressive in that. But a lot of people have agendas as well, that they've got an aim that is inauthentic and misguided, and they'll do whatever they want to get the fame, sort of thing. So I'm very aware of the agendas behind people and stuff, right? Thoroughness tells me a lot, because if you're willing to get a solid foundation, then the corruption isn't there potentially, and then if it isn't there, then it could be like species or whatever behind it, and using guides or align with the invaders, sort of thing, right? A lot of the invaders have an edge because they've all been sort of gestated to be a people's champion now, sort of thing, alright? So yeah, that earth pranic healing, and I've done many since, right? But that really cleared up a lot. And then it was Earth Soul was attempted to be ejected again, so I just had to defend her, and I didn't know where that was coming from. But one of my allies, just mentioned Nikki, there's been a variable with her. She birthed the 5D Earth and stuff like that in July 3rd, 2013, in the presence of Andrew and stuff, and so I've invested a lot in her over the years and stuff. But what came out of that was there's a corrupted aspect of her soul, that's the Ball Queen, that was trying to be the variable inserting into Earth to take over Earth and that. And around my birthday, mid-February, I worked out how to help her, right? And I realized all the corruption from the past with all the mechanics that I've got now. It's like, let's filter it out, and I could actually undo all the corruption and stuff to really flip it all and give humanity a massive boost, right? Because she also has T-nanotech, like nanotech and all this sort of stuff, right? So the nano stuff has been a variable affecting the eyes and stuff. And so literally and it's not her fault, but I feel she's aware of it. An aspect of her soul came at me really hard, and it was like, holy frack. And all variables before that were trying to nail me, alright? And this Borg multi-D aspect of her came at me, alright? And tried to really take me out. But I was too strong, and I feel like I defeated that and defended Earth. And ideally it was, I made an offer to her to heal her, like do my sessions and go through the thoroughness process to eliminate all this. And I could have guided her on a journey to flip it all, but that hasn't been explored. But I basically feel like I resolved that in all the 5D Earth, alright? So that was February, March. And that was a new plateau, alright? So what I might show is the spiritual no man's land with the stepping up sort of thing, alright, quick. So it's getting pretty dark and I've got a lot to say. So I'll just show you this, like for me, this is where it's been, alright? And the menu unique, the outcome common. So this is a variable of me and my journey, and it's like the next level. So when I cleared all that out, there was all this clearing of me because I've had a heavy involvement in that. And I know by clearing that and all that high level stuff, it actually helped everyone that's been affected by that, alright? Because I've had some issues that haven't been resolved for a long time, and it just cleared them all up, sort of thing. So it was fascinating, the confirmation in the body tech sort of thing, right? So what I want to do is just offer a clip here, alright? Because say for me, like I'm the same as all you guys, like we all try and do the right thing, all right? And expansion and the tests seem to be relentless, and then you know we always want support and stuff like that. And so I just wanted to show this quick, all right? I don't have a lot of light and I've got a lot to say, but that was like a variable with me that's unique, and it's like the next level sort of thing. And if I don't accept my infinite, all right, then that has a gap, and all that stuff might not have worked. So going back into September, I had to really trust my mechanics and stuff, and that's where we did the source healing, all right? So one of the things I've done this week, and I just want to mention it, all right, had to do a follow-up of pure source healing. We did another one late this week, right? So that's where I was saying I was planning to do all these videos and stuff like that, and beat the light and darkness and rain and stuff like that, but so many things have happened this week, right? And that's why the recalibration is pretty important. I don't really want to get into it much more than that, but last weekend I realized, holy crap, a bit like the Earth soul sort of thing that I said there, I needed to check in on source again, alright? So that happened in the last few days, alright? So it's just a reference point, okay? So maybe it was like earlier on in the week it was really scrambled and messed up and stuff, and even the day that we did it, I was brewing to do the Ayani stuff, and I like had stuff sent at me and all this sort of stuff. So one of the things we worked out, and I'll just move on from this, alright? So we did the source pranic healing on the 5th of October last year, alright? And we worked a lot of stuff out after that. One of the big things was the backdoor hacking, alright? We had architecture all through us. That was in November. So even after we did the source healing, alright, we worked out so much more after that with that solid foundation of source being reanimated, alright? And to me it was ideally like we just, cool, source is back, we cleared all the invader overlay and stuff like that. We can just chew and let that be, alright? But it wasn't the case. It was just like, holy crap, we need to do a follow-up and check in on stuff and that. And we'll see what happens with that and stuff, but at this moment I just want to offer that happen this week, and that's why this recalibration theme was ideal, alright? So in November we worked out that we had architecture through us that was backdoor hacking that we didn't even know, and so we were blinded by it because of the source code was corrupted and that, and so clearing up source allowed us to really see what was going on. And so there was a lot of this backdoor, say someone would get hit over there and it would come through and it'd be like, what the F is going on? So it was very hard to work out relative to a calibration of like all this negative feedback was coming through sort of those aligned to pure source via the invaders that had an awareness of all this mechanics, right? They've had a huge edge over us and we've gone up against so much shit that we don't even know, right? The long story short, during this process to get to the source healing this week is we worked out the planets had a backdoor in them as well. So in a part of the process we actually cleared the planets in the universe of this, and they were all dancing from that. They were all really grateful because that was how the mafia, the trading of codes and all that sort of stuff was being done. So that got all cleared up thanks to the 10,000 suns, right? So I'm going to move on, just gloss over this pretty quick, right? So I just want to show you this quick because I want to offer a couple of clips. It looks like I don't have much time, alright? So I think a lot of people have had the courage to really go into their unknown, right? And go into new levels. And having no reference, there's been a vulnerability, right? And maybe you don't want to do it as well. Maybe it's like there's a foreboding nature of expansion because it's like what I said about getting clubbed and the fallback and all that sort of stuff, right? But what I want to do is offer this clip. It's from the movie The International. Maybe it gets copyrighted in the future. It's about 7 minutes, so it usually breaches the copyright and stuff. But it's all about meeting your destiny on the path you avoided, right? And it's probably summing up many of you, right? Like there's all these awareness subtleties that, like, it sucks, right? Like you get hit and smashed and compromised and hacked and messed up, and then all the people around us get used as Trojan horses and stuff. So there's a trepidation about expansion, alright? But I would offer, like, the metaphor of what I'm saying is that the menu unique, the outcome common. And maybe you think you've avoided it, but you are expanding and all this sort of stuff, and you've gone through this test that is so rich that I said. And this clip will be quite poetic, alright? So I just want to offer it here because it was a bit of an orphan clip, alright? That I haven't had a chance to offer, okay? And it might get copyrighted, I might have to remove it in the future, so maybe just watching this one in the future on BitChute might be the one that allows it to get through. But I think it'll be very potent for a metaphor of many of you, alright? Of where you are maybe now. And this is what I'm offering about the earth healing, the 5D sort of clearance and stuff like that, the new territory, and then doing this this source healing this week, alright, to really clear up. Maybe before that and after that, this week feels different now, right? So I'm just going to offer that clip and I'll come back on the other side.
You ready for this?
Good evening, Colonel Wexler. I'm Agent Louis Salinger.
I know who you are.
Of course you do. I was at the Guggenheim this afternoon. The assassin you met with. I know you were his handler. And I know that you arranged for him to be killed at the behest of the bank because I was obviously getting too close. But if a hit team at the Guggenheim is what happens because I was getting too close to him, what do you think the bank's going to do when it realizes how close I am to you?
Death comes for us all, Agent Salinger.
Yeah, but based on everything I've read about you, you seem like the kind of man who aspired to die for something more than this.
Well, this is a difference between truth and fiction. Fiction has to make sense.
I'm confused, Colonel. Why would a tried and true communist, a hardliner that spent 30 years in the Stasi fighting against the evils of capitalism, why would this man waste his final days working for an institution that was the very embodiment of everything he once despised? You dedicated your life to the communist ideal. You sacrificed everything for the good of the party. For what? You lost your wife to betrayal, your daughter to suicide, and when the wall fell, your whole life fell apart with it.
You know nothing about me. I was lost long before the wall fell. I was once destined to become a man much like yourself, true-hearted, determined, full of purpose. But character is easier kept than recovered. We cannot control the things life does to us. They are done before you know it. And once they are done, they make you do other things. Until at last everything comes between you and the man you wanted to be.
No. We all have choices in life. You made yours. Sometimes a man can meet his destiny on the road he took to avoid it. Scarson and that bank need to answer for what they've done. They have to be brought to justice. You can help me do that.
Justice? It's not possible.
Why not?
Because, Agent Salinger, your idea of justice is an illusion. Don't you understand the very system which you serve and protect will never allow anything to happen to Scarson or the bank? On the contrary, the system guarantees the IPPC's safety because everyone is involved.
What do you mean, everyone?
Hezbollah, CIA, the Colombian drug cartels, Russian organized crime, governments of Iran, Germany, China, your government, every multinational corporation, everyone. They all need banks like the IPPC so that they can operate within the black and gray latitudes. And this is why your investigative efforts have either been ignored or undermined, and why you and I will be quietly disposed of before any case against the bank ever reaches a court of law.
So what are we all supposed to do? We're just supposed to give up and accept that this is the way of the world. I'm not going to do that. I still believe, I know, that there has to be a way to bring down this bank. And you are going to help me.
You understand? If you really want to stop the IPPC, you won't be able to do it within the boundaries of your system of justice. You will have to go outside. Once you do, there will always be collateral damage. Yes. Should you sacrifice your own ideals for the greater good? It's a difficult choice, one I understand all too well. But as you so eloquently put it, sometimes a man can meet his destiny on the road he took to avoid it.
Didn't sleep a wink, did you?
Hey.
Robert, that girl, Alina. Why?
I couldn't tell you why. It mattered why what they did to her, that mattered to me so much. One day somebody does something unspeakable to someone else, to someone you hardly knew. Man, you do something about it, because you can.
Because it's who you are? Who you've always been? Sometimes we make the wrong choices to get to the right place. I know a part of you died when Vivian did. But not the part she loved the most. Go be him.
Yeah.
Don't forget to say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Everything all right? Were you able to help him?
He didn't come for help. He came for permission.
Very cool clip. Hey, thank you for being here and stuff, alright? So another thing I was wanting to offer, I said about many videos and stuff like that, I found this really cool Michael Tazarian clip from the Architects of Control first set that he did. And those of you that OGs, you know about Michael Tazarian, alright? But many of you, maybe recent stuff, this one's from 2008, and from 2000 to 2010 he was just so epic, and you know my era and stuff, but if I used to put a lot of him in my Conscious Explorer series that I took down and stuff, and I incorporate a lot of clips of him in my stuff just to offer a beacon for how epic he was 10 years ago and stuff. And so if you've watched my recent videos, I've included clips from say 20 years ago, right? Like the last one about the money and Joan Vio, like she was in the trenches in the World Economic Forum 20 years ago and before and stuff, alright? So I offered that as, because there's a full totalitarian imposition going on around the world, alright? And if we don't step into our power, then it's that leadership that we need to step into and maybe challenge everything around us and stuff like that. And we've had to accommodate a lot. Maybe there's a lot of scenarios that people in that they've reached their end of what they can do in that. And if you accommodate them, then they compromise you and their portals and back doors and stuff like that. So I found this really awesome clip. I don't want to say too much about it. I was going to offer it in like a 15-20 minute video, but I just had so much going on this week, and I've got to talk about the animals quick, right? Because that was even profound overnight. But I just want to offer this Michael Tazarian clip as a reminder of many things. It's many things I'm about and stuff. It's a very potent clip, right? I was just going to offer it on its own and then do another video on the weekend, but I just didn't get around to it, and I didn't want to release it just before this and stuff on its own. And so doing this recalibration release, it's all about, you know, rearming yourself with taking on all the data and the journey on the spiritual no man's land and meeting your destiny on the road you tried to avoid it, sort of thing, right? So this is all about self-empowerment and individualism and the love of knowledge and, you know, maybe some attitudinal things that might help you refocus on you and take you to another level. And, you know, the Carl Jung quote that he uses many times, like, he who looks outside dreams, he who looks inside awakens, right? And, yeah, it's just, he's a masterful teacher. This is from Architects of Control, and they're on BitChute and his Unslaved stuff, and it just might be an awesome clip of a teacher that maybe you've never come across, right? So I want to offer that here in this recalibration release, alright? So enjoy.
And never forgetting also that there is this other unseen hand that knows absolutely what consciousness is, who are experts in that fact. You're walking around couldn't care less. You're waiting for the next movie to come out and the next fashion and all that, what Hollywood's going to do next. But there's people there who have a thorough understanding of human consciousness, human psyche, human libido, and they're working on it 24/7 to feather their own nests and also to keep man in servitude, man whom they think is their creation. They think of man as just being one of their own, you know, like somebody treats a pet. If you actually watch how people mostly treat their pets, if you really watch it, you'll find that the pet is a slave. Well, we have people ruling this society who think of human beings as pets and slaves. Yeah, they provide you with some food and they take you for a walk now and again, you know, but they basically you are a pet and you'll be told where to sit and where to go and what to do. That should be obvious to people by now. But these individuals don't really have any fear of us. Well, they do have fear of us to the extent that they know if we were awakened what we could do.
I'm deeply troubled that a very vague, emotionally stated, semi-theologically defined diagnosis of the central global menace is obscuring our national ability to comprehend the historically unprecedented challenge which is being posed in our time by a massive global political awakening, and thus is obstructing our ability to deal effectively with the global political turmoil that this awakening is generating.
So their motive of why they would want to dumb down people is also highly practical. Remember, these people are very, very practical. They may be evil, but they're also very practical. They know that you don't want a mass of intelligent, free-thinking, self-aware, proactive, deeply concerned, spiritually empowered people. That's the worst threat that they can imagine. So it's very practical for them to keep people, you know, what do they call it? One leash for one neck. Everybody in a complete sense of consent, with the illusion that they're independent. It doesn't work without that. You must absolutely have the illusion of independence and self-determination. And we have a problem then. We have a problem that to really, really be independent, to really be an individual, which in psychological terms is called individuation, that's difficult for most people. It's kind of tough. Requires work. Requires, you know, to think and act in moral ways, and oh, that's just too much trouble. I wish it was a halfway, you know, stage. So the media goes, what there is, we'll sell you the fashion of independence. You can buy into this. You can be a goth, a punk, you know, you can be straight, you can be gay, you can be macho. We'll sell you all sorts of images to decorate your inauthentic life. And that will pacify you because there is a voice that's kind of screaming inside of you that you're not living an authentic life. We know that. We know that's a tough voice to live with. But you also can't really do anything about it because, you know, you're lazy and you're weak. And you realize what you would have to sacrifice or lose if you really took the true moral way. The way of selfhood and the way of finding out who and what you are. We know that's difficult for you. So what we'll do is we'll manifest a bunch of simulacras. We have a whole industry creating false personas. But if you buy into that, and it's very easy to do that, I mean, it's just a matter of going down to the hairdresser and coloring your hair pink and wearing a couple of earrings and getting a few tattoos and, you know, having a big t-shirt with anarchy written on it. But you're the last person who even understands what true freedom and anarchy is. But don't worry about that. You know, well, the world is full of those kinds of people, isn't it? But do you see it as being any more free? If that was ever going to solve the world's problems, what happened in the 1960s when everybody was free, quote unquote? Where's the love now? Did it stop wars? Did it stop evil men ruling the world? Did it stop genocide? Did it stop the mutilation of animals and abattoirs? I mean, tell me what one thing that the hippie movement or the punk movement of the 1970s achieved. Well, I'll tell you what they achieved. The leaders of the punk movement are living like pashas and maharajas in $1 million houses over there in Bel Air and also in Los Angeles. You know, Billy Idol has a fleet of Harley Davidsons. That's what happened. You know, that's what happened. But they're wearing a hammer and sickle. We're for the people, peace and love, CND, all that shit, you know, utter nonsense. Utter nonsense. Maybe the man from within who's completely incognito, who's working within the system, you know, suit and tie, you know, would never even pass him by on the street. Maybe those people will do more damage to the evil status quo than all those hordes screaming for reform, you know. Because it's not just a mass of people label reading, running away into these inauthentic models. It's a small group of educated people, dedicated, passionate, absolutely zero tolerance for the lie, who are from all walks of life, who have spiritually, most importantly, that they are spiritually adept, that they understand what knowledge is. They have reverence for knowledge. They're not just trying to gain knowledge. Any idiot can do that. Gaining knowledge, well, God, the schools are full of it. No. It's a matter of loving knowledge. That's a big difference. Loving knowledge, understanding what knowledge is is a whole different thing than gaining knowledge. So there's these fine lines in all of this, very fine lines. And if the knowledge has to be empowering and changing you first, how can you do anything to change another world? Or maybe you don't even have the right. Maybe we're on the complete wrong subject matter altogether. How does anyone even think that they have a right to involve themselves in the life or the lifestyle of anyone else? If you really think about that, you'll find it's pretty preposterous. But at the same time, you do have the right to fix your own life. That at least we know is an absolute. You have the absolute right to work on your life. You have the right to make any of the choices that you want to make. So then my work sort of really focuses on that and doesn't stray from that. If it is true that the Illuminati, the child molesting priests, the Templars, and all of these people, what would we think if it is proven or found out that each and every one of these people has the perfect right to do what they are doing? And that you, in fact, have really no right to tell them or anyone else what to do? What happens if that turns out to be the spiritual law? And that the only thing that you have the right to do is to change your own life, regardless of what anybody else is doing. Well, then we have a problem, because the whole world is running around doing exactly the opposite. Everyone's running around fixing all of these other people and waving placards and getting reforms and getting to change this and do that, or we'll lock you up, and society will go through these cycles in which you have a little bit of good, a little bit of bad, a little bit of dark, a little bit of light. And yet the real work is about you taking care of your own house, your own garden. And if everybody did that, unseen forces would come to aid. Man would, like Vernon Howard said, we can accept that God can become man to save man, but we can't accept that man can become God to save himself. It's one of the most powerful statements I've ever heard. And so what is that dependency in human beings that makes them refute that? We know that everyone listening to the sound of my voice is going to refute that. No, it's Jesus who's meant to do it. Muhammad, Allah, what are you talking? Oh, that's all that humanist stuff. Man being his own God. Oh, satanic evil. So we already know that, that's not a common held theory. But wait a minute. What then is the motive that makes people refute that statement? Before we get into what they're into, you're a Christian. Why would you feel motivated to not accept that man is his own savior? I'm very interested in that. I'm very interested in as to why you, not the cult, not the clan, not your guru, why you would, have a problem with that. What's in your psychology that has made you in the 20 years of your life, or the 25 years of your life, or the 40 years of your life, not have enough brain cells to realize, my God, that's the bottom line. Because in my opinion, if you don't accept that, you are an unsane person. You're not insane, you're unsane. You're toxic, and you need to be quarantined or something. That's really the long and short of it, in my opinion. Then I want to get the crucifix out. As soon as I hear that somebody is, thinking that another authority, another person, has the rights over their mental and emotional and attitudinal and psychic life, I'm worried about that person, because I know that person has got some very serious psychological and existential problems right off the bat. Right off the bat. Then that person is going to be, a herd, part of some herd, or will be a controller of a herd, or will be manipulated by the herd, or whatever you want to call it. But that person is not going to end ever. You're never going to find that person, in doing good in the world, real necessary good at all. It's just a contradiction in terms. It's impossible. They may be sold the illusion or the delusion that they're doing wonderful work, because they give to Live Aid or the next stupid charity that pops up out of the woodwork, They were there. Great, you were there, yeah. Well, we had Live Aid, didn't we? When was that? 1982 or something? Did the world get any better? No, all that happened is Bono and Geldof got on their best clothes one day and walked off down there to Buckingham Palace, got on their bony knees and said, thank you, Mom, for their little award. Okay, that's what happened. And their kids will go to good schools, and they will have, $1 million hotels, and they'll have the best time of it, because they're sellouts. They're people who sold out, or were already working for this cult of Dionysus, people's champions, in order to lead you away, just like in the Monty Python Meaning of Life. Follow Andre, the waiter. He's got something to show you, so you go up down some streets,
over here,
up some alleyways. Come on. Through a bunch of parks. Take you on a 15-minute tour.
Nearly there now.
To show you something.
See that?
It leaves you up in an empty field.
Much of a philosophy, I know. Fuck you.
And then gets angry with you.
Fuck off.
You don't think it's very much.
Don't come following me.
Yeah. So keep on following Andre. That's what every guru, every priest, every politician is telling you. It's all tomorrow. Every scientist, you're going to have it tomorrow. You're going to have it tomorrow. You can't have it today. Because we don't live in the now. We live in tomorrow's world. Tomorrow doesn't even their own science proves tomorrow doesn't exist, but they're going to tell you it all exists in tomorrow. So the fundamental line is discover that there's a hidden hand mind controlling the world, operating to keep you down. Understand that you are a participant in that because you are allowing those hooks into your flesh. I've said it many times, and I said it recently, said it last year. You must distinguish the difference between saying, have I been sold a lie? And the difference between, yeah, but have I bought a lie? Because there's all the difference in the world attitudinally between those two statements. You are being sold a lie. But that's the perfect right of that salesman to sell you a lie. The universal force doesn't care about that. Universal force's judgment, field is not really operating on that frequency at all. The judgment field, the whole spiritual ball of wax begins based on whether or not you bought that lie. That's the clause, that's the nuance, that's the difference. It's a no different a rule than anything that applies when you're shopping downtown. I can't even think of how it would be different. This person prefers Gucci over, Versace. This person likes Levi's over Wrangler. They have the right to sell you whatever they feel like. They have the right to even believe what they feel like. Somebody likes cappuccino, somebody else likes latte, mocha, right? Choice must be there. The decision is yours. But where the real moral component comes in is what you bought and what you put your energy into and what you gave in exchange for what you bought. And if man is not in inner harmony or tuned correctly, he's going to create chaotic noise. If a guitar isn't tuned properly, don't expect it to play well. It's going to be in discord and it will create chaotic sounds. So the bottom line comes in is about how are you tuned? How are you tuning your inner instrument, your consciousness? As I said, the alternative to that is to not tune it, but then hang out with a whole symphony of likewise untuned people. So you can all believe you're cool. In fact, you can say, no, this is a radical new form of avant-garde music we're playing here. It's real hip, it's real cool. All this chaos. In fact, this chaos is really true. This chaos is the ultimate form of music. But that's just you mind controlling yourself into believing that your chaos is order. And unfortunately, there are very toxic people in the world who don't like order. They want chaos because they feel good in that chaos, and you're providing it for them. No human being who is in their center can be hypnotized. That's what needs to be remembered. No human being who is in their center, who is being guided, who is close to their intuition, who's a sharp, critical apparatus, who's got a sharp sense of judgment, can ever be manipulated. Not for any permanent or lasting length of time. They can be diluted temporarily perhaps, but it's like a muscle you have to keep on working on, a muscle you have to keep on sharpening, like anything. And I really believe that a lot of the obstacles and challenges and tragedies that are occurring in the world, that's what this is for. This is the grinder. This is the thing that's sharpening the blades of intelligent people. You have to have friction. I'm sorry, it just happens. You can't sharpen an axe or a beautiful blade without that grinder, without that sharpening apparatus and the friction that's caused and the mechanics of that. So it's the same way with sharpening consciousness. You must have this whetstone of the world in order to sharpen your mind and sharpen your consciousness, so that you come to see some of the meaning in all of this. And it's ultimately a discovery of your own self. It's not about a discovery of society or other people. All of it is a discovery of who and what you are, ultimately.
So welcome back. It's pretty dark. I've not made Beating the Dark. Another recalibration is we had daylight saving this weekend, so I've lost an hour and stuff, and it's been quite interesting because one of the big things I did was another epic session with another client that is an amazing being that has an amazing story in themselves. And in that session, I'll just say quickly, if you've been across me, then the animals would come up and stuff. But what I had to do is this amazing being, she trains animals and dogs and stuff like that. And what we found was, and I'll talk about this more, right, that she's had a tough life, and she got to the point where she could finally have a dog, right? And it was an amazing dog. And you imagine that circuit, it completes from being a child to many eras into our lives where we never thought we could have stuff, and it was like a dream come true. And that dream come true was a real heart activation. And unfortunately what happened is, in that open heart sort of activation, an entity slipped in that really had a devastating variable in amongst many variables going on in her life, and it was very cloaked and hard to see. So what can happen is, when you open your heart like that to a variable that might really feel very empowering, there can be entities out there that are trying to slip in, right? And what we did, long story short, a lot of the animals were being used as portals. Their souls were being hijacked, weaponized with entities, and say like animal pounds, like creating chaos in society from them and stuff like that, with the vulnerable animals that play with your heartstrings and stuff like that. Long story short, in this session I had to do a real, like my whole, if you've gone through my sovereignty declaration, particularly the short one, and you've had a session with me, I've got this mechanics of engaging this order in every session now, every pranic healing, and I had to do that on all the animals, right? So a lot of the animals were being violated. There's powerful souls in animals and stuff. I had some really interesting experiences that I'll have to talk about in the future because it's too dark now. But what I'm offering is, those of you with pets that may be messed up, it might be interesting what happens now, because we clobbered all the animals in this, because of the violation anywhere, violation everywhere sort of mechanics that I've got in my audits and stuff like that. It was found to be a massive variable in this individual, and I think it's been a massive variable out there and stuff. So those of you guys with pets and caring for them, and your heart's been open and hacked and sort of stuff, perhaps you'll feel a lot different from this, and it'll add to that spiritual no man's land that I've got here, right? But it's too dark now. I thank you for being here. I hope you get a lot from this and these clips and stuff. It wasn't aiming to be too big or too intense. It's more like just a marker stone of regrouping and stuff. And I suggest, a lot of people being really hacked, you're being wiped, you're being targeted and all that, and you probably need some help, right? So maybe this helps you break out of all of them, but I'm definitely here to help if you need it, and I really suggest you do it at the moment, alright? But thank you as always for allowing me to be a part of your journey. I hope you get a lot from this and the clips. I might have included some other clips as well that are really potent in that, but those clips in this, I really hope they refocus you and help you see things that maybe you haven't been able to see, and maybe it'll help get you to that next level and launch from being an incredible being on Earth now. So thank you for being here. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of the journey. I hope you get a lot from this, and until next time, the brat from down under, on fire, having fun, enduring it all like you, alright? So stay strong, stay in the moment, keep it simple, and keep moving on, guys. Thank you for all you're doing that no one knows about. Right? There's a lot of amazing beings out there that are just profound, right? That deserve a lot of recognition. So take care, keep being you, and until next time, Andre out.
The sun is is gonna keep on shining. Brighter days on the horizon. My love for you will always keep on rising. Everything's gonna be alright tonight. Oh yeah, my love for you is gonna keep on rising. The sun's gonna keep on shining. Bright days on the horizon. My love for you will keep on rising. Everything's gonna be alright. The sun's gonna keep on shining. Bright days on the horizon. My love for you will keep on rising. Everything's gonna be alright.
Swimming in December, heading for the city lights. 975, we sharing each other, nearer than farther. Scent of lemon drips from your eyes. We are the people that rule the world. What's running in every boy and girl? All rejoicing in the world. Take me now. We can
John Lilly once put it this way: there are no limits at all to the human mind whatsoever, except those we impose on ourselves because of our beliefs. And those limits are also beliefs to be transcended. And that's a view that suggests that the possibilities of human transformation are virtually infinite. And we have no way of knowing the outer horizon of what it means to be human.
And really, to understand all this, everything, you have to go very, very deep into a study of history, consciousness, neurophysiology, everything. You have to be the supreme eclectic type of leaning, and you really have to be wanting to know who you are and what everything's about.
And the thing that you'll find when you go to sacred sites, if you're very humble about it, is that you are on a personal journey, and the sacred site will respond to you in a way that is appropriate only to you. The information is always what you are searching for. And it's the intent you give that energy that defines whether it is used for right action or not. And it is inside these sacred spaces that you will be reminded that you are a god, that you are a bright star.
So what you're trying to do is move through the course without ricocheting off walls or creating karma. You're trying to slide through things smoothly. How do you do that? It's called flowing. There's a technique that you can do that will allow you to touch some part of your inner being that has more knowledge than your conscious state does.